Look, I know what you're thinking, and you're not wrong, but you're not right either. I can see the judgment in your eyes. I can hear you thinking, oh my God, Rachel, how could you? But you don't know the whole story. You only know what he told you. And let me tell you, that man has a way with words. He's a master of making himself the hero, the suffering single dad, and me, the heartless villain. We were so young when we got married. I was a kid, fresh out of college, and I thought I had it all figured out. We were supposed to be the perfect couple. We had the perfect house, the perfect jobs, and then the perfect kids. Liam and Sophie, they were great kids. Don't get me wrong, but motherhood, marriage, it was like being buried alive. One day you're this vibrant, independent woman, and the next you're a mom, just a mom. My identity was completely gone. I was just someone's wife, someone's mother. I couldn't even go to the bathroom without someone needing me for something. And he was never there. He was always working, always busy. I know he says he was providing for the family, but what about me? Who was providing for me? I needed to find myself. I needed to figure out who I was without being tied to a house and 2 kids and a man who didn't even notice I was gone half the time. And then I met Maya, and for the first time in a long time, I felt alive. She was so free, so authentic. She had left her life behind, and she was so happy. I wanted that happiness. I needed it. So yeah, I left. It wasn't an easy decision, but I had to do it for myself. I couldn't be a good mom or a good wife if I was a shell of a person. 9 years. It's a long time. But for me, it was a blur. A beautiful, messy, wonderful blur of discovery. I traveled, I worked, I met so many interesting people. But at some point, the novelty wore off. I started to miss things. Little things at first, and then big things. I missed the kids' birthdays. I missed their first days of school. I started to feel this emptiness, this hole in my heart that no amount of traveling or authentic living could fill. I realized that the happiness I was searching for, it was with them, it was with my family. So I went back. I was so excited. I was finally ready to be the mom they deserved, the mom I always knew I could be. I knocked on the door, and there he was. He was so different, older, more tired. And there she was, Dana, the perfect little teacher who swooped in and stole my family. I mean, can you believe the nerve? My kids weren't even old enough to remember me, and she was already playing house. I tried to be nice. I really did. I even complimented her on how she had decorated the living room, but I could see it in her eyes, the judgment, the smugness. She knew she had won, and the kids, my babies, they barely looked at me. Liam, my sweet, sensitive Liam, looked at me like I was a ghost. And Sophie, my little Sophie, she wouldn't even look at me. It was like they didn't even know me. He told them I left for a bit. But what he didn't say was that I was coming back, that I was coming back to be their mom. But I saw it on his face. He had no intention of ever letting me back in. He had a new family now, a new life. And I was just a character from a distant past. I know I messed up, but I was willing to make it right. I told them I understood their anger. I told them I was a new person, that I had changed. But Liam, God bless him, he just wouldn't budge. He said they already had a mother. Ouch. I mean, come on. A little dramatic, don't you think? It's not like I was gone forever. And then he dropped the bomb. Dana had adopted them. It was like a punch to the gut. I mean, what kind of person would do that? Who would erase a mother from her children's lives? I was so hurt, so angry. I knew he was doing it to punish me, to show me that I was a nobody, a character from their past. I didn't give up. I tried to reach them. I called Sophie. And for a while, it worked. She was a little awkward at first, but she was talking to me. My baby girl was talking to me. I was so happy. And then she stopped. She just stopped. I left voicemails, but she wouldn't call me back. I was so worried. I was frantic. I couldn't sleep. What if something had happened to her? What if he was punishing her for talking to me? I had to see her. I had to know she was okay. So I went to the school. What else was I supposed to do? I told the secretary that I was her mother and that there was a family emergency. It wasn't a lie. It was an emergency. I hadn't heard from my daughter in days, and they wouldn't let me see her. They said some bitch named Dana was her mother. I mean, what is this? Some kind of sick joke. They called security, and then they called the cops. It was so humiliating, and all I wanted was to see my daughter. I tried to explain to him that I was worried, but he didn't care. He was just so cold. He told me that I had ruined everything, that I had betrayed their trust. And then he threatened me with a restraining order. Can you believe it? A restraining order against a mother who just wanted to see her kids. Sophie called me a few days later. I was so happy to hear her voice. I thought maybe she had forgiven me, but she didn't. She told me that she had found happiness without me, and that she didn't want to change that. She said she had forgiven me, but that she didn't want to talk to me anymore. And that was it. The conversation was over. She was gone. It was like my heart was ripped out of my chest. I had been so close. I had been so close to having my family back, but it was over. All I could think about was what I had done. All the mistakes I had made. It was all my fault. I knew it. He was right. I was a failure. I was a horrible person. I didn't deserve to be happy. I didn't deserve to live. I took all the pills I could find. And I'm not going to lie. It was a relief. I just wanted the pain to stop. I just wanted it all to be over. But it wasn't. I woke up in a hospital, and all I could think about was them. I just wanted them to know how sorry I was, how much I loved them. I just wanted them to know that I wasn't a bad person. I just made a mistake, a huge mistake. And now I have to live with the consequences forever. It's funny, isn't it? How you think you've hit rock bottom, and then you find a whole new basement. The hospital room was sterile, white, and full of the faint, antiseptic smell that makes your stomach churn. They put me on a lot of things, not just for the physical stuff, but for my mind. 2, the social worker, a woman with kind but tired eyes, kept asking me about my support system. My support system? I wanted to laugh. My support system was a therapist I saw 3 times and a converted van I called home for 9 years. I told her about my ex-husband and the kids. I didn't hold anything back. Not the leaving, not the returning, not the stupid, impulsive trip to the school. I told her how they had their own lives now, a new mom, and how I was just this ghost from the past who couldn't seem to stay gone. She listened, nodding, but I could tell she didn't get it. How could she? She wasn't me. She hadn't made a choice to be free, and then watched it backfire in the most spectacular, soul-crushing way. She talked about grief, about loss, about accepting consequences, all these words that sounded good on paper but felt like daggers in my heart. She told me the hospital had contacted my sister, but I already knew what she'd say. My sister, the one who stayed, the one who married a stable man and had a stable life, would just shake her head and sigh. She'd talk about how she always knew this would happen. She'd be disappointed, not sad. When I finally got out, the world felt like a stranger. I didn't go back to the van. I couldn't. It felt too small, too lonely. The social worker had found me a spot in a small, transitional housing program. It was a shared apartment with other women, all of us trying to put our lives back together. They were all there for different reasons. Addiction, abuse, just plain bad luck. I felt so out of place. My bad luck was a choice, a series of choices, and I was the only one to blame. I got a job working at a coffee shop. It was a good job. Mindless enough that I could just focus on grinding beans and steaming milk without my mind wandering to what Liam and Sophie were doing. Were they at soccer practice? Was Sophie practicing her big presentation? Was he, my ex, watching them with that new wife of his? That Dana, with that sickeningly content look on his face. I tried to block it all out, but it was impossible. Every time a mom came in with her kids, I felt this ache in my chest. I'd watch her laugh with them, wipe a little bit of foam off their nose, and a part of me would just break. That was supposed to be me. That should have been me. I chose to leave, and I had to live with that choice. I knew that. The doctors, the therapists, they all told me that, but knowing it and living it are 2 very different things. One day, I was on my break, and I went to the park. It was a beautiful day, sunny but with a crisp fall chill in the air. I saw a little girl on a swing set. She had long, dark hair, just like Sophie. She was laughing, her legs pumping, going higher and higher. For a second, just a second, I felt that familiar maternal instinct, that old, protective love. I took out my phone and I typed a message, a long message. I told them everything. I told them about the hospital, about the note, about how I had been so lost. I wrote about how sorry I was for scaring them, for everything. I wrote that I didn't expect them to forgive me, but I needed them to know that I never stopped loving them, not for 1 second. I wrote it all out, and my thumb hovered over the send button. But I didn't send it. I couldn't. What right did I have to disrupt their lives again, to burden them with my pain? The social worker told me that I needed to stop thinking about them and start thinking about myself, about healing. And she was right. But it's hard to heal when the very source of your pain is the memory of the two people you love most in the world. So I deleted the message, and I sat there on the park bench, a hollow feeling in my chest, watching a little girl with dark hair swing higher and higher. A stranger's daughter, a life I didn't get to live. I had a coffee in my hand, but it was cold. My heart was cold, too. A few days later, I was on my way to work when I saw a car pull up to the coffee shop. It was him. And the kids? No, not the kids. Liam. He was a man now. A young man, but a man nonetheless. He was standing there, and I saw him look at me. He didn't smile, didn't say anything. He just looked at me. A long, searching look. And then he walked in. My heart was in my throat. I couldn't move. I wanted to run, but I couldn't. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. I just stood there, frozen. I don't know why he was there. Maybe he was just getting coffee. Maybe he knew I worked there. I don't know. But he walked up to the counter, and I couldn't. I told my manager I needed to go to the bathroom. I locked myself in the employee restroom and just stood there, breathing. I could hear the bell ring on the door, and I knew he was gone. He didn't say anything. He didn't try to talk to me. He didn't even acknowledge me. When I finally came out, my manager asked if I was okay. I just nodded. I didn't say anything. I went back to work, and I just kept my head down, but my hands were shaking. I couldn't stop thinking about it. That look, the one he gave me, it was so empty. There was no hatred in it, no anger. It was just nothing, as if I didn't exist. And I realized that was worse than anything else. He had moved on. They had all moved on. And I was still standing in the same spot 9 years later, in a cheap apron, serving coffee to strangers, and trying to pretend that my heart wasn't breaking. I'm trying to be a different person. I'm trying to heal. But some wounds just don't go away. And some choices, no matter how much you rationalize them, are just wrong. I just hope one day they understand that I didn't leave because I didn't love them. I left because I was lost, and I'm still trying to find my way back.